why did I give this name? First of all, Ajit says Ajit is because we all talk about mindfulness, we all talk about meditation, but we don't get into the crux of the process. You know what it really tells us, what it really wants us to know, whether it be Bhagavad Gita or it be Kabat-Zinn who started talking about it. So first of all, it talks about the connections that we make, not only connections with the environment, but the connection as it stands at present. Okay, so it's like here and now, interest, openness, and receptiveness. That is very important. Now, what happens when we have very bad times? Suppose you have the assignment to be submitted by 12 a.m. and you are working on it, and you still find that you are not being able to, put in the best that you would love to do. And so instead of thinking, I won't be able to do it, it was always better to say that, okay, if I have 2 hours at hand, what is the best I can give in those 2 hours? That is the best way you can deal with it, because then you'll be open to whatever your interests are. You're receptive to the problem. Next, so why it is very important to connect. Okay, and basically what all the mythological scripts or the books of mindfulness or very good practical daily exercise books of mindfulness, they all talk about one thing, which is called you need to get very close to your values. Okay, and what are values actually? We've all understood that this is good, this is bad, this is not done, this you shouldn't do, and we connect these as values. But when you go into the science of mindfulness or meditation, values is something how you would achieve your goal. Suppose you want, when you come to IIT, you all want a package, say maybe 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs per annum. I think that's too less. But anyways, just to give an example for you people, you think that that's the ultimate goal. Now, what is the value that you need to put in these 4 years? You first have to put in a lot of hard work. You have to understand. So you have to put in your understanding skills, your comprehension skills, your writing abilities, and how you do it. Those are your values. Those are the way you deal with it. How the action is your value. Suppose I'm going to do this work now. So that now action is your value, is the act of doing. That is what we talk about as values. It's not you're doing good, you're doing right. Nothing is good and right in mindfulness. It's about what you think at present moment, what you're doing at present moment. That is what is important. What do I really care about? Like if you have 2 assignments to be submitted, so which one do you think you need more attention? Which one is something that you would love to do, which really matters to you? What sort of person do I want to be? And what do I really want? That is very, very important. That is what we all forget. What do I really want? Now, I have had students in my career here in IIT. And there was one, I cannot forget the student. Just because of the reason, he was a very bright boy. And he came to me with one thing. He was in the department of mechanical, and he told me that I don't want to do this. I want to do business. And my parents are not agreeing. They wanted me in IIT. I've come in IIT. That's enough. Now I want to live my life. And believe me, we went through a lot of sessions, ups and downs, and I tried to understand what he really wants, because that time he was really young. His parents, of course, no parent would agree to the fact that the child leaves IIT in between and goes to do what he feels like. And he took time. He said, okay, I'll give myself so many years in IIT. And then if things don't click, I'll just leave. And believe me, in I think 3.5 semesters, he just left. He just said, I have now found what I really would like to do. And he has done wonderfully. Now also when he meets me, he greets me, he just wishes me, because he really knew what he wanted to do. But of course, that had taken a lot of effort on his part of convincing people. That was his value, because he knew what he wanted. That was not his goal. His goal was to do something in relation to academics, and he's doing very well now. So those are, of course, those are subjective, but this is just an example. Now, here, like, you have the goals, you have to achieve good marks to be a good parent. These all are something, which has been drained in us. Everything has to be good. Nothing can be bad. If you're not looking after your children, you're not a good mother. If your teachers, if your children are not doing well in school, you're not teaching them properly. You're not giving them the full. So everything, there is always a disbalance for bad. For good, everything is there on a plateau. Okay. Now, my teachers used to tell me that if you don't perform well, it is not you that you're not performing well. It is something I need to pick up and I need to do to make you understand what you don't understand. Okay, so that is how I learned that everything doesn't have to be good. Even the teachers can do something to upgrade their skills. My parents can do something to upgrade their skills. Whatever they feel is not correct, not my judgment. So, and what then the values come? Like, for example, when I went to the United Kingdom, they told us that they will be, here also it happens that the teachers are graded. So they used to tell us that you please feel free to grade whatever you feel like and write whatever you feel like, because that I'll take as constructive criticism and I will grow on that and I will build up on those. And those were my teachers who really taught me there's nothing wrong in saying that I have to upgrade my skill in that, because that is my value. That is what I would have a construction upon me to achieve certain things so that I can be a good to the community. Okay. Now, this is an example for you. Just think about it. In a world where you had unlimited confidence, how would you behave differently? Now, we all say that you don't have confidence. You need to grow in confidence. Now, suppose a person who has a stage fright, okay, how can I tell you that you don't have confidence? If you had confidence, you can go and perform brilliantly on stage. Can I tell that to that individual? That's like labeling that individual. Okay, he won't have behaved differently because he's still scared of the stage. He's still scared of people. What is different that I can do is that I can always tell that individual that when you enter the first step of the stage, the area that you are going on, maybe the podium, just think that you are coming very close to your fears and you are going up one by one, and just see what happens. People might not like you, that's fine, but people might like you also. Right? So how would you treat differently? How would you treat others differently if you had a lot of confidence? Would I become arrogant? Would I become a brash person? What does confidence mean to you? How would you treat yourself differently? What would you stop doing? Which we never stop. If suppose I'm very confident and I'm very argumentative at times, I will never stop arguing, because that confidence always gives me the push that, okay, you argue. Okay, because I know I'm doing good. So those are those values which come in between of achieving a goal. Suppose I want something to be achieved. My confidence is not something that comes in the between. My values is something that will come in between. How can I achieve it? What are the small things that I can do? Will my confidence, dwindle it? Will it break it? So those are the areas that we need to work upon. Those are the things that we need to look upon when we study mindfulness. Okay, so there's this life change list, and here are some ways that I will act differently this weekend as I develop genuine confidence. Now, this is taken from Russ Harris's worksheet. He's a person who familiarized ACT, the Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, after Stephen Hayes in 1980s did a lot of work in behavioral therapy and ACT, and he took it on from there in 2008. And what he found that we always have a tendency to say, if this thing happened, I would have done this. If that has happened, I would have done that. So what does that mean? It means that we always think. So can you tell me that if you develop general confidence, what would you have done differently that you're not doing now? Would you not go and laugh with people? Would you not go and sit and eat with people? Or would you try and come out of fear? That is what is important. If I touch that value that, people will not like me, people will hate me, people will ridicule me. If I can get that, then I develop genuine confidence. Not that, okay, I can go in the market and buy stuff and just see what happens. Now, here are some personal qualities and characteristic strengths I will develop and demonstrate to others. That is what I'm telling you, that, here are some ways I will treat myself differently. That is very important. Okay. Okay. So let us move to the next slide. Okay. Now, very important thing that we have to consider. I think this is something which you all are familiar with. Are you all understanding why I've given this thing? Can you all think why I've given this thing to here? Anyone? Anyone? No one? Anything that comes to your mind? Why I've said? Okay, now I was watching this news, and Virat Kohli and Novak Djokovic are very much in news. He is in news. The person who is playing lawn tennis is in news because he went to Australia to play Australia Open without taking the COVID vaccine, and he did not say that. So he was pushed back to his own country, and Virat Kohli has given up the captainship. So a lot of things were going on, and I was hearing the news yesterday where they were saying that, what is it? You have achieved your goal. You have achieved what you wanted to be in life. But at some point in life, there are certain values that you need to keep as treasure. Okay. Now, what are those values? His goal was to go and play in the Australian Open. But the values that he had, that this is for somebody else. I cannot catch coronavirus. I'm not in the rule book. That act is very, very not healthy at that point of time, because that value is not allowing to achieve your goal. Similarly, for Virat Kohli, lately it has been seen that he's just not with the team. There may be a lot of issues with him, but what is the main value when you have to pull up a team? It's togetherness, it's connectedness. Okay, and that is what is there. So why it is happening, that we have to look into. That gives you a lot of breathing space for being mindful. Okay, that gives you a lot of breathing space for seeing what is happening in me and accepting that and moving forward with it. Then only can you be mindful. I'm not taking a mindfulness course where I will tell you this is how you become. But these are daily activities that happens with you very, very slowly. Okay, so next. Now, here is another example. I was reading this in the news. And what happened with Rahul Dravid was that he was asked, to be given a doctorate degree from the Bangalore University. And what happened was that he said that, no, I will not take it, because my wife has been working day and night. My mother is a professor. My father has been earning, doing a lot of hard work. I have never studied. I have only played and played. So how can I take this degree? Okay. And it was so humble of him, and he returned it. And he returned the degree saying, these are the people who should be honored, not I. So I think that is the value that he has kept to himself. Okay. And there was this comment there where he said that when I look at myself, I can see the reflection of indestructible, arrogant, or strange people. This is a person who is saying that if I would have been given this, I would have happily accepted it. Okay, these are the voices which would go inside me. These people repeatedly remind me that being humble doesn't mean falling short. It's growing much bigger. You have to be small to grow up. That is what we need to do. Even during these times, we sometimes, we are, because, the academic section, all the sections are working in a very, we don't know, we are setting up routines, we are working, sometimes somebody is not there. So what are we doing? We are calling up or we are getting angry. But sometimes you have to think that, is it the right time to get angry? If my work has been delayed for months, and now when the things are just being streamlined, if it can be workable in 10 days, I should try for that rather than telling that I've been waiting. Why are you doing this? Why this is not happening? That is not my value. Like you have to be small to grow up. If you just be a bit humble, things might work your way. Now, how do we deal with fear? What is fear? Now, fear has been decoded by Russ Harris, and there was this article that I published it in a magazine here only, which basically talks about fusion. So your mind, your mind tells you that, gets in the way when you get caught up in it. It goes on and on. It doesn't stop. You're fused. Okay. Excessive goals, your goal is too big or you lack the skills. So that is E. A stands for avoidance of discomfort, the unwillingness to make the room for the discomfort this challenge brings. That we all do. Because what we are doing in that process is we are not accepting that process as it is. We want that if we have sent something to the administrative block, it has to be accepted right now because I am waiting for it for such a long time. Okay, but what happens if the person is affected with corona? What happens if people are not there? What happens if the person is not coming today? Can I make that room for myself? Can I just tell myself, take it easy, it's okay, it will take some more time, people will understand? What I've seen is people, they fill up themselves with so much of fear. If I don't get this will not happen, that will not happen. Oh my God, what will my sir say? But everything is something that you're not doing on your own. There is a streamline. It is the situation that is making us do certain things, something that we've not thought. And that is why we are going back from our values. Very much we are regressing in times. Because as I said, if I'm picking up the phone, like, some students, they've been calling us up and they're telling us that, why I did not get this appointment, why I did not get that appointment. Even if we are saying constantly, that you will get it, just hold on, because maybe the person who's doing it is not there. He will come and get back to you. And we have time, but when you say this to the other person, you don't know what situation the other person is in, how he or she is managing the things all around. Everybody may not have access to everything at home. So you have to connect with people who have those access. You have to make channels and you have to grow. That gives you a little bit of time to grow. But are we giving ourselves that time? We are busy reprimanding. We are busy scolding. We are busy getting angry with ourselves or others or the situation. And the situation is out of our hands. Okay. So here there's this video that I would like to just share with you. Just let me know if you can hear it. Okay. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The human mind is a lot like radio doom and gloom. It broadcasts a lot of negative stuff about the past. Old painful memories, hurts, memories of failure, things that went wrong, times people mistreated you. It also tends to broadcast a lot of doom and gloom about the future. Catastrophizing, predicting the worst, worrying about bad things that will happen or what will go wrong. And it also tends to find a lot of problems in the present. Wherever it looks, it finds problems. And that is a normal, natural human mind. Now, you can do positive thinking courses and learn to think more positively, there's no doubt, but that's not going to stop radio doom and gloom from broadcasting. That's not magically going to get rid of all your negative thoughts. Just like if you learn to speak Spanish, you're not going to forget English. So what are we supposed to do? Have you ever done some sort of really engaging activity like reading one of your favorite books, and there was a radio playing in the background, and you were so engaged, absorbed in what you were doing, you hardly even noticed the radio was there. It was just playing away. And then maybe one of your favorite songs came on the radio, and suddenly you were really aware of the radio, maybe even singing along with it. And then the song changed and the radio kind of faded into the background again. What if you could learn to do that with your own mind? There are times when your mind is broadcasting really useful, helpful stuff about values and goals and strategies to make your life richer and fuller and more meaningful. What about at those times you could kind of tune into the radio and make good use of that kind of useful stuff that your mind is telling you? And the rest of the time when it's doing its radio doom and gloom stuff, just kind of let it play on in the background. This is very different to trying to ignore a radio, trying to not hear it. Have you ever tried to not hear or ignore a radio or a loud voice in a restaurant or a lawnmower outside your house? Isn't it the case the more you tried to ignore or not hear it, actually the more it bothered and disturbed you? It's also very different to bringing in a second radio trying to drown out the first one. Let's bring in radio logical and rational, or radio positive and optimistic to try to drown out radio doom and gloom. It is very hard to focus your attention on an activity, to engage in doing something that matters, while you've got two radios playing two different channels in the background. One simple way that you can do this is just to notice when the radio is broadcasting its doom and gloom stuff and just simply name it. Here's radio doom and gloom broadcasting in my head, or there's my mind worrying or predicting the worst, or there's the I can't do it story, or there's the I'm not good enough story. Whatever it is that radio's doing, just non-judgmentally notice it and name it. So we don't get into a battle with these thoughts, we don't try to run away from these thoughts, we don't get swept away or bogged down with these thoughts. We just let them come and go like a radio playing in the background, and instead we focus our attention and our energy on living by our values, doing things that help us to create a rich, full and meaningful life.
Okay, so here basically Russ Harris talks about how ignoring is very difficult. So the process of coming to mindfulness, coming to terms to meditation is always accepting what is happening. Now suppose here you're saying like what happens when you're fearful? So fear is always that I'll fail, it's too hard, I'll do it later, you procrastinate. Excessive goal, when you make excessive goals, there are a lot of excuses of not doing it. Okay, and because of that you're avoiding the discomfort, so there is a lot of frustration, anxiety, irritation, anger, and you have somebody to throw it on. There is remoteness from values. Now whenever there is such kind of thing, what the basic mindfulness teachers tell you is always you accept whatever is coming. Suppose you've had a fight with your sister or a brother and you say, oh, my brother is so stupid, he knows nothing. Okay, and you in the mind you keep on saying a lot of things against your brother, you know, at that point of time, and then you realize after some point of time that I shouldn't have said that. Okay, but again when you fight, again you say the same thing, right? Now what researchers have shown, I'll show you in the slide, that when you do like this, these are like experiential stuff, when you do like this, it comes back. The tendency of coming back is much more than if you say to yourself that yes, I have this feeling, maybe because you've hurt me. So I have this feeling of hurt. So you're naming that feeling. You're observing how you feel. But maybe that situation was like that he has done something to me, or I have done something to him, which is very hurtful. And we are both correct in our own ways. You will see your mind will start responding, not reacting. It will slow down. And there was a research which I was reading where they were saying in 90 seconds, you know, your emotional turmoil, it just blows out and then it comes down, right? So basically we need to control those 90 seconds in this way, acceptance. So here you have, how do you overcome this fear? Okay, that Russ Harris talks about. So you have diffusion strategies, like you name the story. Okay, like hurtful, I'm sad, you accept it. You name the feeling, you observe it like curious, and okay, so I'm sad. So what am I doing? I'm crying. Maybe I'm sitting in one room. I don't feel like talking, but that's normal. Okay. You realistic goal setting, like if you lack skills, set new goals. Like, okay, now maybe I shouldn't have said like this. This is what I should have done. I should have approached the context in a more thoughtful way. And so you're bringing up your skills, you're picking them up without anybody being at fault. And then you embrace. So you now you know that, okay, now I want to connect with this person. I want to love this person. I want to be with this person. Maybe it's a father, mother, sister, whoever it is. So the value is there. You're coming back to your values. So what is important? Now consider these three important questions. Does this really and truly matter to you? Whatever you're doing, suppose your sister, brother, father, mother, they really matter to you. If it does, then what is the cost to you of avoiding it or putting it off? Whether you can avoid it or you can put it off, you can do nothing, neither of them, but you can love them. You can do those steps that I've told you. And what you rather have, and you have to think that whether spending a lot of energy and time is worth it, or I should move in a way where I can enhance my way of dealing with these people, the things that I don't like about them. Now, this is an example of a student, of my student who visited me at the center, and this is what she had to write. And this is her own example. This is what she'd learned from therapy, though it's still going on, but she's learned it, and she gave me the permission to show it if it's okay with me. And she wrote, I hated experiencing the feelings of regret and self-loathing. In order to numb myself to such feelings, I used to employ certain ways so that I can forget. But I would end up wasting more time and more opportunities following these destructive solutions. And I would always return to more regret and disappointment. But the therapy helped to understand the vicious cycle I'm stuck in, helped me to recognize the triggers and avoid them. It also helped me to notice the small, albeit helpful behaviors that propelled me towards overcoming my anxiety and continue to give my best. I still have bad days, but thanks to the counseling, I know how to handle them well and also have hope that good days will come. And this is another boy. Now, this boy had a very unique problem. He had performance anxiety, which we diagnosed after about 2-3 sessions. Okay, me and the doctor. And grilling me, found out there was a lot of performance anxiety. Now, what happened was when he came here, of course, there are the best out of best. So he had a lot of people who were doing better than him. But he was a very, very nice, speaker. And then we tried, and he started developing problems, which is called some physical ailments for which he needed medicines. And what I tried to figure him out is that, those physical problems, were it because you were having mental health problems or because it's a vicious circle, other way around. And then coming to terms with it, he found out through therapy, about 3.5, he was there with me, that those are all the things which are happening to him when he's thinking too much and it's taking too much of his energy and not putting it into good use. So this is all his writing. He said problems can be broadly classified into 3 categories: instantly solvable or solvable in short time. This is not by book. This is what he's written. Not putting our hand in fire to avoid burning it. Solvable in long term, like fracture, may take a month to recover. Unsolvable, like physical disability. If we try to solve type B problems in short term, or we try to solve type C problems endlessly, then the problems seem worse and the effect worsens. Now, why is something that he understood? Why? Because somehow we are unable to solve the problem and an uncontrolled mind mocks at the inability, making us frustrated. And this was happening with him almost, I would say, for 3/4 of the sessions we were discussing this. And during COVID, we had a tough time, but we could manage it because now he's doing very well. Yes, I have a problem X and its bad effects Z, but somehow I'm unable to solve it. So let me accept that I cannot solve this problem, and let me not accept that this problem will get solved. So how to approach not to solve a problem? This is what he has learned in this session, and this is all his understanding. So I guess all the students here, please understand this, that this is somebody who is written from your part, and this is what you'll need to understand. A bitter truth, all the logic is good, but to apply it requires practice. So when you come for mindfulness or meditation, there's a lot of practice which is required. It doesn't happen in 1 session or 2 sessions. There are a lot of scientific underpinnings that you need to understand. And we do a lot of process for that. A slight trap, we sometimes do expect that following the above approach will solve, lessen the problem. No, We can't even do that. We cannot lessen the problems. Always they cannot be reduced. Something important, when after trying a lot, all our attempts seem futile, we need to understand that insolvability, long-term solvability are also characteristics of some problems. And many times it is beyond our capacity to solve certain problems, either instantly or endlessly. And in keeping with all that, there was this research which came out in 2021 in May. And this is exactly, I love this research so much, because we all, whenever some students come, we ask them to meditate or we ask them to do a lot of mindfulness exercises. But we don't understand, or we don't tell them that there are certain control strategies. If you're using the meditation practices to control that feeling that, I'm sad, then it will never help you. It can ameliorate more human suffering. It can increase the human suffering. Okay, but if you do it in a way that, okay, accepting, that give me the power to accept whatever I'm feeling, then mindfulness works very well. And this is what the research has shown. And it has been proven with, though it was cross-sectional, but there were other researchers and some data was in keeping with the researches that had happened earlier. So here is the plan. You first have to understand, you have to be willing, and you have to have an action plan. What is your goal? You have to be very specific. Okay. Now, suppose, like I said, with some students, what I used to do, I used to maintain a log. Now, some students who would procrastinate, so I would tell them that you make a time log, like from morning till evening, what is it that you're doing? Okay. And where can we fix some study time? And we fixed it study times by hours, by minutes, and exercise time. And that was the thing that he needed to achieve. And if he didn't do it, there has to be some reason. Maybe he didn't like it, he didn't want to do it, but we will work on that. Okay, so because the values were lost, we were trying to find out the values, the actions, what will you do if you're not able to do that, what values are important, and how will you act on them. The thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, urges. When I'm not doing that act, I feel bad, but am I doing something for it? If you don't do it, you can never fulfill it. Okay, thoughts, feelings, sensation, urges. It would be useful to remind myself that if necessary, I can break this goal down into smaller steps. Like if you're saying, I want to go and have breakfast. Now you feel very lazy getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth and going for breakfast. Then the first step I would teach them is, okay, so the first thing is putting an alarm and just getting up from bed. That is a smaller goal you can achieve for at least 1 week. Then going up and taking a brush. So these are all incremental reinforcements that we try and talk about in the sessions, and they do it and they feel good. And then once it's a habit. And the smallest easy step I can begin with is that you have to think, like, putting an alarm for this. And if I can't get up, why I can't get up, that I have to think. The time, the day and date I will take, the first step is. So these are the ways we plan the sessions. So with that, I thank you all for your patient listening.